Rough stuff for OutCold. We'll see if they turn it around. Game number 2, picks and bans on the way. And OutCold Gaming will be on the left, which means they have the first pick and, of course, the first ban. Last time around, some throwaway bans, leaving the King Arthur open. King Arthur will be banned first and foremost.
So they banned away Xbalanque and the Uller in game number 1, but this time around with the first pick, probably going to be leaning towards an aggressive soul laner if it's available. However, they are taking that option away. There's always going to be the Achilles and the Bellona as the number 2 and 3 selection.
The Achilles was what we saw Mv3 respond with last time around. So the Xbalanque ban, the King Arthur ban from OCG. Mv3 have already taken out the Uller, and for their second and final ban in the first half, they're going to be looking towards, as I would expect, the Hun Bats.
That's what they did last game.
I was going to say a warrior.
It was going to be the Merlin and the Hun Bats in game number 1 that they banned away. So this leaves OutCold Gaming the opportunity to take that, which they will not hesitate on.
Merlin just right up there on the top. Great job there for the Wizard. And we'll see how Mv3 responds. Now the mid lane pick for OCG has been locked in, and Mv3 are going to look for the Kumbhakarna. Some good control when it comes to this mage. He's very mobile, so able to really cut him down just a little bit. And then they're going to pair the Kumbhakarna up with the Hachiman. So a very standard duo lane here.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's what Mv3 want to run back. And that was a great look for them in game number 1. The safety that the Kumbhakarna provided for the Hachiman put Beast in that late game position. 12-1 and 10, 45,000 player damage. It doesn't get much better than that for a late game hunter.
Well, Susano, one of the stronger junglers when played well, and Terra, well, she's just that strong. Nice stuff coming out of OCG so far. Terra, of course, with a little bit of ambiguity, can be in the solo side, can be in the Guardian role as well. So OCG kind of playing with the opponent and saying, what do you want to ban this time around? And I like this choice. Mv3, they're going to give Jose Poseidon one more time.
And OutCold Gaming shifting their strategy a little bit to focus more on team fight AoE damage between the Merlin, the Terra, even Susano, Typhoon. It's going to be difficult for Mv3 to position against those 3 gods alone around the jungle.
Absolutely. You got to look at what all 3 of these characters are going to be doing. We see that a lot, the 3v3 in that mid lane, so when you look out for the grouping, that's what players are kind of scared of. But as we hit our second round of bans, we say goodbye to Ravin and Arlong Shen, 2 of the warriors turned assassins.
Very easy to dive the backline between both of them. We saw actually the Arlong Shen last game coming from Mv3. Had a good performance, I would say. Didn't have the most damage in the world, but it was mostly set up. His build was a little bit more hybrid, going for Stone Cutting Sword, going for Height of the Urchin. It was a good way to enable the Poseidon.
No double down on the mid lane bans this time around. We see the Achilles banned out, which leaves Bellona to be the choice here for Mv3. You had mentioned both of these gods by name earlier on.
That's true. Bellona is just like such a popular soul laner that you can never really go wrong, and Achilles being banned away, there's only one other option if you're looking for the top tier.
Ram going to be the carry of choice here as he finds himself in the hunter role, the classic hunter, just looking for those basic attacks. And then OCG, they got mid, they got jungle, they got a Ratatoskr. So the Ratatoskr will likely be in the solo lane, and the Terra will find herself in support. If it goes the way I think it will, which it should.
It's possible. You never really know between these frontliners. We've seen Susano go in the solo lane on his introduction in the SMITE meta, but since then it just kind of fell off. Ratatoskr has been played support before, so could be Terra solo. Who knows?
Pele locked in for Mv3 as they try to close this one out against the undefeated OutCold Gaming. To see if they can, it's the casters. Take us away.
Mv3 up over OutCold, and no, that's not a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. Mv3 have a chance to put down OutCold right here, right now, in our first set of the day over in PS4 EU. And it was some misfires from OutCold, from both teams really, but mostly from OutCold in game 1 that I think set this up. They've got to try and regroup from that mentality here as they put the Rat in the solo lane for FataliTyxFire.
Definitely hoping for a cleaner one across the board, and Father of All looking to be a thorn in the side. Cynortas probably won't be able to spot him from that angle, and DG won't. Father of All on the speed, and I believe he got it.
Certainly did. That's why he stopped here. He's teleporting back over, and unfortunately for Kinder Warrior, and that is the speed stripped away. So this is a bit halfway into what we saw towards the beginning of Season 6, where like solo laners had some extra times they wouldn't harass the junglers, and that became supports, as Just Lion takes quite a bit of damage. And unfortunately for Kinder Warrior, that is his speed stripped away.
Just Lion, very, very low, but mrsacx hasn't used the shell quite yet. But you're right. I mean, that's a great invade from Father of All. He teleports into solo lane, misses, doesn't miss a single creep over there, I don't think. The one downside to this now is that Father of All won't be able to buy his Berserker Shield or Glad Shield, whichever he chooses, probably going to be Berserkers, and immediately return to lane without missing anything. He's going to have to get lane pressure, then back, and even then, because he's not buying boots right away, probably still would be a little bit late coming back to lane, but to set Kender Warrior behind and to, frankly, make him mad, because there's no time. I've never seen a jungler not get mad over getting their level 1 speed invaded and stolen. It's probably worth it.
Did you see where Cynortas was for it? I assume he just dropped some damage over the wall and left.
Yep. Yeah, that's what you do is Merlin. You want to drop it pretty far because you want to start rotating in and drop you want to transform into fire stance, then use your 2 on the wave and fire stance, and it basically full clears for you.
That's exactly right. So there was no backup there for Kender Warrior when Father of All came in. In that situation, you kind of just yield that one over to the Bellona, man. She's very happy to take those early skirmishes, and that's favored Father of All so far, as you said, who missed very little in the back end, can even move over, get his blue buff in time, really has missed out on nothing at all. And now this Bellona can do exactly what she does, which is just pressure you out of lane. She can clear the wave faster than you likely. She can do the 1v1 box better than you because of Scourge. She just has so many tools at her disposal.
And Susano already struggles a bit in the early game. Setting him a little bit behind JhoX on a Pele, who usually does pretty well for herself in the early game, is a great idea. Kender Warrior was really the saving grace for OutCold through game 1, nearly kept him in it by himself, it felt like. So to set him behind is a good idea.
And Jose Rito, despite his early game struggles, finished with, like, what, 12 kills, something like that?
I think it was like 16. It was absurd.
And a ton of kills, yeah. On the back of that last game. So despite those early game struggles, I mean, if he's going to be able to have that same type of impact here in game number 2, then I get why they've put him back on this pick yet again. Even if there's a couple things off the mark, those whirlpools were so frustrating for OutCold that should make them prove they can beat it.
And now they pick the Susano against the Poseidon, where those cripples become even more frustrating by way of the whirlpool. It's gonna be difficult, I think, for Kender Warrior to have that same level of impact if Mv3 get off to as good of a start. So it looks like it's Kender Warrior this time trying to get over towards the duo lane early on.
Already, though, OutCold's duo lane happy they haven't seen as much of JhoX as they did last time, though Kender Warrior catches quite a bit of it. The beat is the only thing that keeps him alive there because he doesn't get knocked up, but they've effectively done the job anyway. They forced him out and they stripped the buff.
FataliTyxFire getting himself some pressure on this right-hand side again, but that's because Father of All has not backed yet, and FataliTyxFire hasn't needed to back. Well, he did, but
he has full Acorn, yeah.
Get the Acorn without having to back at all. Now Father of All is going to back to base and teleport back up off cooldown, so Berserker's Shield ready to go, and the worry that you had with his start by speed now completely irrelevant. It's exactly how we would normally be using it.
Yeah, that was exactly the window that we just saw FataliTyxFire try and take advantage of. I think he even used the ultimate earlier on to try and catch out Father of All, but it just was not quite enough damage. He had his own ultimate to reposition back to the tower, and that was that scary moment now past. And Berserker's Shield Bellona is here to say hello, out-sustaining you, out-damaging you, just doing whatever she wants in lane. Bellona's good.
Bellona's pretty good. Absolutely. FataliTyxFire's getting away some back harpies, though, from the other side.
That's
That'll
nice.
lose him some wave pressure for sure, but keeping himself up with some farm and also taking some farm away from JhoX, never a bad idea.
These Talaria boots feel so good for the junglers. You can see it picked up now for JhoX to give him some extra movement speed. He'll use that to try and lock down. FataliTyxFire actually gets the knockup, and that's the ultimate forced out defensively. Good work by JhoX there. He didn't have to give up much, except for his jungle, really, to make that one happen.
FataliTyxFire doesn't want to let this blue buff go, and he'll force JhoX to waste his time. Nothing FataliTyxFire is doing at that point in the game, right? He's not going to his blue buff. The wave's already dead, so may as well just make JhoX kind of stand there and watch you before he does the buff. It's 5 seconds of wasted time, but that's 5 seconds of wasted time. The Kender Warrior had to farm that JhoX did not.
Something maybe seemingly small, but could certainly impact them. It's just a couple of things here and there to make life harder for Kender Warrior throughout this early game, and that's exactly what they're going to need to do. That's the one who I think more than everyone else they should be punishing. Now, to be fair, Cynortas, I feel like on a much better god than the Raijin, as strong as Raijin is. He's not Merlin, This could spell a bit of trouble for FataliTyxFire, but Eagles rally off the mark. That'll be the end of that. And FataliTyxFire A-okay.
Small, quick rat, a little bit too hard to hit.
He is small.
Yes. That's an objective fact.
Oh. Hey, I mean, if you don't want me to agree with you, I won't. But
No, I'm just, like, I kind of would just prefer you agree with me on something a little bit more, like, I don't know, borderline.
Kinder Warrior wants to try and find first blood. Jose goes into the passive, which means he has not yet fallen, but a great shell comes through. Cynortas finds first blood. This Kumbhakarna is going to get back up, but right into danger. Cynortas, with some help from mrsacx, finds a double on the Merlin. Much, much different than the way things looked on the Ryzen early on.
Perfect start instead for OutCold Gaming, where they get Cynortas ahead on a god and Merlin that can really punish you when you fall behind him. This is a much better start for OutCold. Just Lion safely farming in the duo lane, and just a little bit too over-aggressive there from JhoX ends up getting himself caught out for first blood.
I think maybe he thought more people would stay behind to kill Hosiel in the passive, but they didn't. They just peeled off him and went for JhoX instead. Mounted Archery is so much damage point blank and Just Lion in trouble. He will hold on to the ultimate, though. At this point, it might be too late anyway. OhMyJhox Beast has sustained up a small bit there in the lane, and he's out of range of that ultimate killing.
Felt like Just Lion maybe could have put in one more auto attack and then gone for the ult in order to kill Beast in that spot, but he would have needed to land all three. Certainly no easy task, but if you're picking Ram at this level, I'm anticipating that you feel comfortable hitting all three shots when necessary. Otherwise, he's just not worth the pick. He's just not good enough if you're only landing 2 shots of that ultimate. You really need to have a pretty high conversion rate on all 3, in my mind.
That's really when you move from just a good ROM to an elite ROM, as Hosiel in more trouble. Remember, he should not have the passive available. Epic Uppercut, though, gets him out of there. That's his ultimate forced out defensively, and Hosiel has to run away. Why do we have Jose Raito and Hosiel on the same team?
Yeah, it might be Jose L 6Y9.
Oh, maybe it is Jose L.
But I kind of like
Hosiel.
I kind of like that too. It reminds me of Arrested Development.
Yeah, like
Lucille.
taking off Buster's hand.
No, like Lucille.
No, but there was a loose seal
That
in the sea.
that is true.
Right.
That took his hand.
Yeah, and
Spoilers if anyone is really behind on Arrested Development.
wouldn't want to spoil shows from 2003.
Like really behind, by the way.
If you are here and you haven't watched it, yeah,
I was about
go
to
watch
say,
it.
God,
Yes.
such a good show.
It is fantastic.
The last few seasons
Haven't been as good.
have not been as good, but I don't think that should take away from how good the initial seasons were.
They're very, very good. See, as like season, I would say like in the middle of season 1, season 2 is when they really hit that stride.
Season 2, I think, is the best. Yeah, it's just
very good.
it's so unbelievably funny. I don't know. Arrested Development is just so my humor that it shouldn't surprise anybody.
Just Lion in a whole lot of trouble. Has the beads on reposition, but Heavenly Banner cuts him off. He'll make it up into the air, but he'll fall back in trouble. Meanwhile, on the other side, Father of All goes down, so the team could at least keep things even, but no, he gets good backup. That's enough to force Mv3 away, and Just Lion makes it out. And JhoX can't rotate there in time either, but they've got 4 members on this side. Cynortas and mrsacx aren't out of trouble yet.
Jose wants to find a Kraken, but no way he kills a full health Terra,
No way.
especially without penetration. Again, rushing the Chronos pen. Looking for some quantity and quality this time, potentially.
That's right. You get a bunch of really good Krakens off. How do you stop that? As Gold Fury considered and then immediately dropped by Mv3.
Well, by nature, because they aren't going to do a lot of damage, none of them are really good Krakens.
By default,
Yeah.
by what they are.
You kind of like lose that ability.
As Lucille runs away. Epic uppercut off the mark, though. Actually dashes him closer
Ooh,
to
that
the
shell.
opposition. Just barely does not get the ultimate procced, and now 2 knocked up inside the Whirlpool, and that's the go button for JhoX. He goes in with Volcanic Lightning, but can't find the low health target, and now he's in trouble. Just Lion and Kinder Warrior work together to bring down the jungler. That was just a series of unfortunate events.
Really good flicker there from Cynortas, kind of lost JhoX in the midst of the battle. And it seems like JhoX's worst enemy has been this Terra ultimate. That's twice now where he's used Volcanic Lightning aggressively, feeling like he's about to get a kill. But that damage mitigation, the small heal, the big heal, it all adds up to the enemy getting away.
It really looked like he was about to get a double from where I was after. I mean, because that's the fight you want, right? Kraken knocked up 2 into the Whirlpool. It had already been there, so it was like maybe a tick or so, but go ahead about the Kraken.
Right.
I can see it on your face.
How much damage did it do, Finch?
Not as much as you might have liked.
That's right. That's right.
Not as much as if he had Spear of the Magus.
That's true. And I don't know if he would have finished Spear of the Magus by that point, because he was still sitting on Restored Artifact. But Restored Artifact into Chronos Pendant is a lot more gold, so maybe he would have had enough gold. And even if he didn't, he's got Enchanted Spear that's 30 power, 10 pen instead of just 50 power. 10 pen's worth more than 20 power.
FataliTyxFire in a lot of trouble. Makes it up onto that Tree of Yggdrasil, so he should be out of there and A-okay. No, he's hovering like he wants to go back in. He changes his mind. Really, that's not too bad. Just use that as a threat on the back end and then jump out. But Father of All has also made his rotation known if he wants to try and come join the fray. Poseidon wants to lock down mrsacx. They really want to be here for this red buff invade, but will not make it in time.
Trying to play around Beast, who's got to use that ultimate defensively. Cynortas still pushing forward, though. Flicker is up, but root off the mark. Terra ultimate used by mrsacx, but this could still be a good fight for OutCold.
Red buff root takes down Jose Rito. What could he do there to stand in the way of mrsacx? Not was available to him. Eagles Rally used defensively by Father of Fall, but he gets pulled right back in by Kinder Warrior. Typhoon waiting as well. The knockup just barely lands. Father of All ends up falling to FataliTyxFire's damage, and another good fight from OutCold. Why not move right on over to the Gold Fury?
This one's easy for them, Finch. Just too aggressive for MV3 on this red buff. I feel like they're playing like they still have the lead they had in game 1 at this point in the game.
Right.
And they just don't. In fact, they're even or behind in most instances. I mean, certainly behind in gold, even behind in XP, but the duo lane is still very, very far ahead in experience. I mean, Beast is up a level and a half over just Lion again, but that just goes to show how much more experience OutCold is ahead in the mid and jungle and in solo side
Solo specific
of the map to still have that big of an experience lead when you have such an experience deficit on the left-hand side.
Well, because he's a Ratatoskr and not, you know, a warrior, I don't know if FataliTyxFire's gotten as much value out of all these extra levels in terms of, like, tankiness. He's still been brought down very low in a lot of these fights and forced to disengage earlier than he would have liked. As good as the Rat's been, he hasn't been able to get, I feel like, the 3-level lead over everyone else as a warrior is so much better.
Yes.
It just is.
Yeah, warriors just have insane base stats, so naturally getting level advantages ends up helping them a little bit more than assassins. But FataliTyxFire can still put this level lead to really good use. Just needs to rotate early and often in these engagements. As soon as he finishes his Blackthorn Hammer especially is a great time to start rotating around and just getting free kills onto Jose Raito in particular. You want to... I think that warriors are much better selfishly when ahead like this, but an assassin like Ratatoskr can distribute that lead more easily than a warrior can. He can feed other lanes just by ganking and doing what a normal assassin does, just with an extra level or 2. In this case, extra level or 4 that he has over the enemy jungler.
Yeah, you think that's enough for him? 4
Yeah, I
out
think
in
that's
front,
pretty
or 3.5 at the very least, over Father of All, who's had some struggles on this Bellona and has not quite been able to keep up. As OutCold try and return to form. It's not just FataliTyxFire either. Cynortas on this Merlin gets scarier and scarier as this game goes on. He's also rushed the Chronos Pendant, but instead of Poseidon, he's a Merlin.
And he's got Protred in his kit.
Exactly. He's moving throughout all these extra abilities. Kraken looks like it does bring Kinder Warrior a bit low if it connected, but nowhere near what they wanted. Though again, with Chronos Pendant, it'll be up sooner rather than later. 40% CDR.
Quantity over quality. That's what we're going for here. Pyromancer started by OutCold with a Merlin on top of it. That goes down to half HP instantly. And no one here from MV3 to contest if OutCold decide they want to finish it, which eventually they do.
That's such good damage onto those objectives. Jox, though, might have himself a nice rotation. Looks like just Lion has recognized it, though, and rolls away, and that limits the opportunities for the Pele. Though, he does have Blink, so if he wants to come over the wall, just Lion might still be in trouble. Though he just settles for the purple instead.
Just Lion has kind of been left on an island this time around, and he hasn't died, but he's been losing his trades pretty handily, I would say, in this duo lane. And again, some pressure dedicated by MV3 to make sure that that happens, but just felt like Beast has had a really good set, and just Lion has not so far.
I think that's fair to say. Beast has looked very good. He's going to finish the Aussie right away for the double lifesteal, whereas Just Lion's going to go for this Odysseus bow in the third slot again. And this has been an item we've been talking about a lot, because when you rotate into these team fights, the passive is very strong. It can limit these blinks a lot. I just don't know if it works as well when you're behind. I mean, because it gives you like almost no power in that slot. How do you like this third bow Odie bow?
I mean, it's got some power, or the Odie bow you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, no power at all, but it's just such a good item that you want it eventually. Anyways.
Merlin, by the way. We love it. And that just sets up a FataliTyxFire to rotate in. It's not enough damage, though. Josel is able to get the epic uppercut, and that gets FataliTyxFire out of there and buys him a moment to retreat, so the Kumbhakarna survives.
If Cynortas had backed yet and finished off a Spear of the Magus, that's a dead Kumbhakarna, no matter which way you slice it. But a good dive from Kinder Warrior as well, getting both relics away from Jose Raito. Costs him both of his relics, but Blink is up on a shorter cooldown. His bead's less important, I'd say, than Jose's beads.
Certainly.
That's a worthwhile fight for OutCold's jungler, and they certainly come away with a little bit more than what Mv3 got.
Blackthorn Hammer, as you mentioned, for FataliTyxFire completed, but remember, after that latest patch, it is slightly weaker, though I'd argue still very good, and one that you would feel good to have on your team, as OhMyJhox takes the first 2 shots. Not the third, though. He used that Mountain Archer to get away. Aegis is good to immune the damage, but he cannot stand here and fight. The Heavenly Banner is just too strong, and Just Lion gets soloed out by OhMyJhox. And just as the Fury spawns up too, this is a great timing for Mv3. They even have a rotation if they want to push down the tower or move into the jungle.
That's literally worst case scenario for Just Lion, because he uses everything. Relics, ultimate, everything, and OhMyJhox doesn't have to use a single relic at all and takes no damage in the process.
mrsacx in some trouble, takes quite a bit of damage from the rest of Mv3. Kraken comes through, tickles mrsacx though, who just kind of shrugs it off. That will spell the end though for this tier 1 tower. They have enough people here where they should be able to force it down. Cynortas has made the rotation in, so is Kinder Warrior. mrsacx blinks in to drop the ultimate, and Kinder Warrior removes Jose Raito from the game.
Beast has to use the beads and the Aegis. Good damage coming from Cynortas, and here comes FataliTyxFire as well. The whole squad here in the duo lane. OutCold now with 9 kills, and it's just Jox and Father of All who can stand to defend. It's Primal Fury, and I don't love those odds.
No, this one should certainly go down. That last fight, I kept thinking in my head who I was going to give credit to, and I'm like, what a sick rotation from Kinder Warrior. But mrsacx hit that nice Earth and Fury, too, to set things off. Yeah, but Cynortas' damage on this Merlin's pretty nutty. So really, what that just means is it was a great team effort from OutCold on that rotation to punish Mv3, committing heavily to that tier 1 tower and losing 3 in the process.
Now they put themselves in a great position, up nearly 5,000 gold. Really, the only problem is that Just Lion needs to stay safe and get some farm. I mean, he has less damage so far than mrsacx in this game. He needs to be doing a little bit more out of ADC.
Well, mrsacx has had more red buffs, so.
That is, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But do you think that run red buff did 400 extra damage?
I mean, maybe. Earth and Fury does a lot.
No way. No way.
No way.
Because it's percentage of your power. It gave him like nothing at all.
Sure.
There's no way it gave him extra 400 damage. Unless he hit like all 5 members.
Which he didn't.
And got a 5-man root. Maybe it would have. No, there's no way. It's
no, still no. Yes, you're right. mrsacx has just been able to do more. He's been in more fights, and Just Lion, on the other hand, has known that a fight with OhMyJhox is not what he wants at this point. And he ended up taking one and ended up falling. So he's just going to have to farm up for now. The OhMyJhox not going to make that particularly easy. This time, though, it's OutCold who can force these fights and try and pressure out Mv3, when last time, OutCold kind of just tried their best in the 5v4 and left Just Lion to farm while they defended.
Man, a huge XP lead right now for OutCold. I mean, every single player has at least 2 levels on their opposition, outside of Just Lion, who's down 2 levels himself. But you basically just want to force fights on the right-hand side of the map now and hope that Just Lion doesn't let this happen.
Goodness gracious, it's too much damage from OhMyJhox and Beads. I don't know if they just came back up or not, but Just Lion might have recognized he was just dead to rights. That's too much pressure from the Hachiman, even though Pyro goes down for OutCold.
Man, that's... all you have to do is not die in that lane, Finch. Your team is doing so well on the right side of the map and in mid and in jungle. I mean, everywhere else. The only... one of the only ways you lose from this position, in my mind, is just dying in duo over and over again.
Let Beast have the same kind of game he had in game 1. Kraken comes through but doesn't find very much at all. mrsacx finds Jose Ryudo with a little bit of help from his team. And Kinder Warrior's there to join him as they force back Hoseal as well as OhMyJhox. They can't move in. And OhMy's best is looking for what farm he can find.
Man, Kinder Warrior has just been a nightmare for Jose so far. This game has really been all over him. That's what Susano is supposed to be doing, is just putting the enemy mid laner in a bad spot mentally. He does it better than almost any other jungler in my mind. Just you feel so powerless when there's a fed Susano on top of you. Just does so much damage, has so much CC, so much mobility. Kind of just does it all out of the jungle.
He's so strong. I always feel like I'm singing his praises because, like you said, the control's there too, which can certainly help in a team fight, even if he wasn't doing insane amounts of damage as well. He can be a good initiator for the team with this Blink Relic to get things started off. So Kinder Warrior, man, showing his value on the Dodge and on the Susano so far in this set and helping keep OutCold in it. But remember, he might need to put some attention towards OhMy's Beast or something because Just Lion has not been able to hold his own in this lane so far. And OhMy's Beast proved it last game. If you give him time on this Hachiman, he can just be a carry.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Jose is neutralized at this point. He does no damage. Point proven there after that Kraken on the FataliTyxFire. Now he's dead.
Now he's really doing no damage as he goes back to base. So FataliTyxFire cleans up that kill. And where shall they group? The tier 1 tower actually still up, so I'll have to come back and grab that one first before they can push up any further. And this is a much-needed time for Just Lion. Now the hand forced by OhMy's Beast, who's had to rotate off that middle lane, and Just Lion keep right on farming. Now Father of All in trouble. He's been knocked up, and Cynortas has plenty of damage in that fire stance to burn him down. The tier 2 tower next on the menu. Jhox wants to do what he can, but he cannot force away 4, and the tier 2 tower belongs to OutCold.
Beast just never gets a chance to rotate into this fight, but I feel like when you are the only lead on your team, Beast getting more farm and structure damage doesn't necessarily help them that much. I mean, sure, this global gold and map pressure that he's getting by getting these towers is certainly helpful, but he needs to be in the fights.
Yeah.
He needs to be fighting, and so now I want to see Beast group up with the squad. Let Jose Ryudo split push if he really needs someone to do it in your mind, because at least he can get some extra farm. But Beast needs to be in the fights with his team because they need his damage.
Yeah, so the 4v4 is the best case scenario for OutCold, right? Where they're having just their lead fight against just the deficit from Mv3. It's especially the best case scenario of the way that they're getting the 4v4 is that Just Lion and OhMy's Beast are both solo farming. Like OhMy's Beast is mid and Just Lion's in duo. That's the absolute best case scenario because Just Lion's getting farm and OhMy's Beast can't do enough to pressure them by himself chilling in mid. So I agree, it's really not where OhMy's Beast wants to be in that fight. But also, the fight was way over in right lane. I don't know if he could have even rotated to it in time as Mountain Archery forced out by FataliTyxFire.
That time Beast a little bit too far forward into the fight. FataliTyxFire trades ult for ult. More CDR, absolutely though, for the Ratatoskr, so he'll be able to get that ultimate back a little bit sooner than the Mounted Archery. So a slight win for OutCold as they grab themselves another Fury. And now the lead is up to 11K. Fire Giant still isn't enhanced quite yet. 50 seconds or so until that happens, but I wonder if OutCold can just burn it before they have to worry about that extra HP and protection and damage. This is the big brain play, Finch. We haven't seen anyone do quite yet. First of all, don't let your Hunter tank with Fire Giant. They do no damage afterwards. But also, just start it, get it low, and then wait for 25 seconds, 25 minutes, and then you kill it. Get the big buff without all the hard work.
That's not a bad idea at all, as Mr. commits the Earth and Fury to get this fight started. OhMy's Beast in trouble. Uses Aegis early on, and they sit on top of him. Kinder Warrior cleans him up with the Typhoon. But he is quite low and in some trouble, but they can't quite get in a range to kill the Susano. That means Jhox in trouble. Let's land the snipes. Where's the scope at? No, Jhox evades all of them. FataliTyxFire, though, was there to clean up the mess that's left behind. He's locked down underneath the Phoenix. An unfortunate death that might not need to happen if those snipes are on target.
But OutCold do exactly what we were asking, and that's focused out OhMy's Beast. Just Lion does not have a prayer of soloing this enhanced Fire Giant.
He will take a bunch of damage, though.
He sure will.
Which is, that's something.
Now he's below half and gets to go back to base instead of just doing the Pyromancer. and setting up his team to come out of base a little bit faster. Now he has to go back.
And so the waiting begins, and that's a good, I mean, this waiting matters 100%. OhMyJhox will be back up in about 5 seconds or so. Jhox only 10. And I think because of that sequence, OutCold are not going to start this Fire Giant right now. And really, I wonder if they chase too much, or maybe if that chase is fine, if they get the kill with the snipes and they don't lose FataliTyxFire, and then even if they do lose FataliTyxFire, if Just Lion is healthy enough where they can stick around and do the objective, because now they're just kind of farming their own jungle.
Again, I just think the decision-making has been leaving a lot to be desired, I would say, out of Just Lion so far this set. And the good news is that I think that you can watch this back and see a bunch of decision points, and they're pretty easy to fix. You just don't do what you have been doing and do the opposite instead, and then you're doing pretty well.
Despite, though, some of these errors, OutCold still hold on to quite a strong lead for themselves, and Mv3 doing their best to slow down their push. Everyone's back up on the map. We got all 10 players here, but look at the relic deficit for Mv3 right now. Nothing for OhMyJhox is available, or for Jhox. It's just Jose Raitu really with any relics available. So this is a great time for OutCold to look for some fights.
Man, no sprints or anything to get out of these slows coming out of Jose Raitu. Kraken gets a lot of relics on that left-hand side. A pretty good one, but Jhox already dead. Didn't get anything off.
And gets punished by Kinder Warrior, who locks him down. FataliTyxFire way onto the back line, keeping Jose Raitu from feeling comfortable. A snipe does end up landing from Just Lion as Cynortas cleans up that kill into Jose Raitu. Hosiel is also in the passive, but they'll ignore him for now. They want the damage onto these carries while they can. Hosiel does eventually go down. OhMyJhox turns back around after using the mounted archery, but no way to save Father of All. Cynortas gets him, and with a deicide, that might just be it. Aggro OutCold Gaming grab the win off a surrender coming through from Mv3.
Much better that time from OutCold. I mean, Cynortas looks like a completely different player on the Merlin in comparison to the Raijin. The Raijin was really, really rough. This Merlin was great. 6-0 and 5 for him. Kinder Warrior continues to look like the best player in the game right now that's loaded in that set. Though Beast certainly giving him a run for the money. I mean, if I'm on Mv3, I'm just asking Beast, how can we set you up to insta-kill Just Lion in lane every wave? Because it looks like that's a possibility right now.
Hey, you guys want to just chill in duo lane again? Get OhMyJhox ahead? Because Just Lion so far has not put up a ton of resistance in that lane on his own in terms of slowing down OhMyJhox. So that might be the recipe here. But just like that, Game 2 goes down in favor of OutCold, and we move into this Game 3 where OutCold might still be able to hold on to that undefeated set record.
Man, it's a lot of pressure, I feel like, on OutCold from this position, but at the same time, Mv3, when you win a game dominantly in Game 1 like that, kind of as the underdog, and then you come back and just get crushed in Game 2, sometimes you get this feeling like, well, what do we do? I mean, we tried to do the exact same thing. We had a very similar composition. The Poseidon pick did not work at all for Jose Raitu. Again, he never got to the late game where he actually had pen and levels and could actually kill people. There's got to be a switch up now for Mv3, and we'll see if they have another strategy ready.
They've got some tools there. Keep Cynortas off the Merlin. Maybe try and punish Just Lion. Those seem like good places for them to start. Let's get it back over to the desk, though. I'm sure they've got some ideas, too.
Thanks a lot, guys. Tom and Tully here bringing you the breakdown. At the end of the day, I think this game number 2 was a little bit more representative of what we've come to expect out of OutCold, previously undefeated as far as their sets are concerned. Still, that is the case, but we have one more game to play.
Still undefeated also is the Arthurian Pantheon that was picked for this set so far. Arthur in Game 1, Merlin for Game number 2. Great control from Cynortas' AoE abilities. There was some merit, though, to Mv3's success. I think that the Hachiman, yet again, from Beast, played a big factor in terms of keeping the game still relevant, getting a Tier 2 tower in the mid lane, but it just wasn't enough, despite the 2 solo kills that he was able to find.
Exactly. OutCold, I think, did a better job of controlling the individual this time around. Jose wasn't really able to get off to a crazy game, despite repeating his Poseidon here in Game number 2 as well. So some strong stuff coming out from OutCold to make sure that, well, you know, you guys were strong, but why don't you calm down?
I like the switch up for the solo lane. FataliTyxFire on the Ratatoskr had a good advantage up against the Bellona. Father of All didn't have a great game this time around, getting picked off a couple times, and that gank at 22 minutes onto the Ratatoskr, a little surprising knowing that Jose was so far behind that he needed to farm and prioritize that, but instead looks for the 3-player gank. The Rat ultimate comes out. It was a great timing to prevent the Kraken, and then the re-engage, diving the Tier 2 tower from the Rat Global, really punishing Jose even further, dropping more farm.
number of different options coming out from OutCold to really find the victory here. Love to see it. That's exactly what they signed up for. And here's the fourth kill of the contest.
And it was just another great gank coming through from Kinder Warrior, playing the Susano this time around, very aggressive. The AoE was just impressive. mrsacx as well making a statement in the mid lane. I wanted to pinpoint a very specific team fight where after the second solo kill from Beast onto Just Lion, OutCold Gaming actually forced a 2-on-3 fight with just Kinder Warrior and mrsacx, winning it by killing Jose.
And over here we see just more Kinder Warrior. Just getting kills even when he's out of the play space. Great job here from OutCold. Their jungler does a lot of work, 6-1-10. But we mentioned Cynortas 6-0-5, and of course Just Lion still doing what he needs to do. 7 assists there in the carry role. So some good stuff coming out from OutCold. Some unconventional short lane Ratatoskr, but it certainly did the damage, had the control, and most importantly, the initiations where OutCold needed it.
Kinder Warrior, despite his early death at 8 minutes, cleaned it up with his only death because he had no purification beads, and afterwards played a phenomenal, flawless game, setting up his mid laner. This is kind of the jungle mid synergy that you're looking for.
Love to see what OutCold is able to do when they're playing on all cylinders, and maybe we'll see that even in game number 3. With 2 behind them, they've got 1-1 so far, split down the middle for the set. And at the end of the day, I think that OutCold Gaming are a squad that, you know, beat us once maybe, but twice is a big, big jump